I've lived in the mountains of rural Vermont all my life. Born and raised here, life is simple, deeply connected to nature and the rhythms of the earth. Living here, being raised here in the woods, so far removed from the rush and stimulation of the world, it's a massive part of what has shaped me as a creative being and as a writer. Minimal, simple living is just how we live here. There's not a moment that goes by that I'm not submersed in nature. It's how I grew up. I didn't get a cell phone until I was in my late teens, and even now I don't use a cell phone except when traveling. This constant disconnect is what has brought me true connection. It's a big part of what gives me the clarity and inspiration to write stories. As I began publishing my debut series, The Blood Race, I started to realize that I couldn't give up this freedom that seemed to flow effortlessly from simple, mindful, minimal living. I didn't want to be bombarded by news feeds and digital clutter, posting and marketing and staring at screens when that was a life I was completely unfamiliar with. But it was also important to me to be able to connect with my readers, to create and share about my books, my art. So I began a journey to discover a simple, minimal, and mindful way to use social media. Today, I want to share with you the 4-step process I use for managing my artist pages, a way that has allowed me to have a beautiful community with my readers, to give that connection without allowing it to become a distraction, create mental clutter, or to consume my time and resources. I believe that we can be artists, sharing our work online, connecting with our fans, and also be mindful digital minimalists. Let's dive in. Today I wanted to share with you a practice that has helped me so much in both my creative life and my personal life, and that is how I manage social media as a digital minimalist. I love to be able to share about my books and creative projects I'm working on. I love to be able to connect with my readers, but as a creative and as an author, a writer, I also understand that it's so important to not allow social media to really invade my life. As someone who practices minimalism and digital minimalism, I've noticed a huge benefit in my life from separating myself from screens, phones, social media. So the question arises like, well, how do I manage being a minimalist and a digital minimalist and also being able to share? I avoid separate social media sites altogether, things like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I use one third-party app to manage all of these different platforms. I personally use the third-party platform Planoly to create and schedule posts for all of my other social media platforms. There are other ones out there like it that you could do a little research and find something very similar, but what it essentially does is it allows you to bring in your photos, organize them how you would like to, post them to Instagram, have them sync up to Facebook and post there to Twitter, and they're also expanding into Pinterest, I think. So it allows me to, in a very clean, minimal environment, which I really like that about their template, their web template in particular. It's very minimal. I'm able to organize all my posts, write what I want to write on each post, and get them ready to schedule without ever having to go on a cluttered, visually noisy news feed or sift through any visual clutter or information that I just don't want to be clouding my head with. Another thing I really like about Planoly is I can also see when someone comments on a post so that I can then go and interact with that person and have that connection, have that conversation without having to be constantly having notifications coming through my computer to let me know someone commented. I can actually schedule time to check my comments. The other thing I do is go directly to my page. So if I want to update some things on my Facebook page, instead of going to facebook.com and getting distracted scrolling through the news feed and seeing all this visual clutter and advertisements and pop-ups and all these things kind of bombarding my attention, I go to my exact URL to my page. So I land on my page, there's a lot less visual clutter. I don't get distracted with any newsfeed. All I see is the immediate posts that I need to focus on. So that can be a really nice way to avoid and bypass getting distracted online, getting sucked into the rabbit hole of social media. Is don't go to the feed, bypass the feed altogether. Write down what your URL is, or you probably remember it, you probably know it by heart, and just go to your exact page. Another thing I think is very important is setting boundaries. I do not allow social media to invade my writing time, my creative time. To let social media sort of leak over into every area of our lives, I think is something that we've never seen happen before in history. We've never had these notifications from like, this person posted a picture about their lunch and this person posted a picture about where they're going on vacation, and just constant updates about so many people, many of whom we've never met, many of whom we don't even talk to, and we're constantly getting notifications about all these things. And it's a crazy amount of information. I've found for myself, since eradicating social media from my life, not carrying a phone, not having a phone on or even in the same house with me, I have so much more creative clarity. I have better clarity because I don't have this distracting device grabbing at my attention. So set those boundaries for yourself. Realize, hey, my writing's important, or your whatever, fill in the blank with your own creative gift. This is important. I'm working on my small business for a reason. I'm working on this book or this song or this album for a reason. I'm working on this creative project for a reason. And I'm not going to let social media and just getting distracted on things that don't matter, that don't progress my life, that don't help me or benefit me in any way, mentally, spiritually, or emotionally. I'm not going to let those things just soak up my time. And lastly, I like to take a moment to remind myself why I am posting. I typically do this before I write a social media post. I take a moment to ask myself, why am I saying what I'm saying? Why am I posting this? Because I think in today's world, we can get so caught up in, what am I thinking? What is my opinion? What is my take on this? Or what about me? What about me? And the focus becomes so introspective that it can be easy. And I think that so much of social media pushes us to think about ourselves rather than about others. Everyone deals with having an ego sometimes, but I think that we can take a minute to ask ourselves, why are we posting this, and why are we saying this, and is it to help anyone other than myself, or is it just to bolster my own pride or whatever? And when it comes down to it, what I want to do is inspire others. If I post something on social media, I want someone to pause in their feed and read what I said, and maybe have a weight lifted off their chest, maybe feel a little bit better about themselves, maybe feel a little proud of themselves and how far they've come. And if my posts can't do that, then I don't want to be posting. And if I feel like, I just don't have anything to bring to the table today, I feel like I need to be resting and receiving myself and not giving today, not putting out today, then that's okay because we're not machines. We don't need to always be producing, despite the atmosphere that the world can often create of hustle, 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 produce, produce, produce. We are not machines. We are not meant to be producing all the time. I think that if we decide, hey, I don't have anything that can help me connect to the world, to help me, something that will help me give something beneficial to the world, we don't have to say anything. And that's a really liberating thought, to realize the fact that, I don't have to say anything. I really don't. So I hope these tips helped you. These are very practical things that I do to manage my social media as a creative entrepreneur. Things that I use also to manage this channel, but also not use social media in my personal life. I don't let social media invade my personal life. I really don't use it hardly at all, except for sharing with you guys, which I really enjoy doing. But I think we can keep it beautiful and keep it inspiring to ourselves and others by setting these boundaries and bringing some mindfulness and digital minimalism into the practice of how we handle our social media to share with the world. So I hope you got something out of this video. Comment below and let me know if you practice digital minimalism, or if you're just trying to cut back on social media. How do you manage it? What sort of boundaries do you set in place for yourself? I would love to hear your thoughts on this, my friend. If you like this video, it always means a lot when you subscribe. Ring the bell if you'd like to be notified when a new video goes up. If you would like to support the channel, you can do so with the link to my Patreon, which is down in the description below. I wish you joy in your journey, my friend. Until the next video, namaste.